Hey, before we start off, I know that a lot of you may have clicked on this video just to see the breakdown of my YouTube revenue from 2022, doing it full time. So there's going to be a timestamp down below where you can just get directly to that. However, if you are interested, I travel around full time in this 4Runner behind me, living on the road, taking landscape photos and making videos like this one. And this is one of my daily videos that I've been doing and my adventures through the Blue Ridge Mountains. So you can just keep watching if you're into that. But if you just want the breakdown of my revenue, link down below for the timestamp. Anyways, let's start the day.
Oh, a parking lot. Shocking. Oh, what a beautiful day.
Good morning, everyone, or good evening, or good night, whatever time you may be watching, wherever you are in the world. So you just watched me try to find a waterfall and was not successful. I got really curious when I started passing a lot of no trespassing signs, having to hop over barbed wire and go down that really steep hill, and I was like, I just don't think I'm in the right place for the waterfall that I think I'm trying to find. The good news is I had just enough self-service to realize and find out that I am not in the right spot. So we're gonna go try to find that spot. But if you're tuning into this video to talk about how much I made full-time on YouTube last year, we're gonna talk about that. I just recently did my taxes, so I have an entire breakdown of exactly all the revenue streams, all the money I made. We're gonna talk about that in this video. For now, we're gonna go find this waterfall though, so stay tuned. Okay, we found the correct area, marked trails, parking lot, all the things I expected. A lesson learned to make sure you do more research before you pin the spot where the waterfall you think is, and not waste another 45 minutes going to the correct spot. Anyways, we're gonna do this hike. I think it's only like 2 or 3 miles, but had to get we got water going on over here. Got the tripod. We got the light pack going. Instead of the big pack, I'm only bringing the 1 camera, 2 lenses, and the ND set. So the weather, as you can tell, is a little overcast, which is actually absolutely perfect for getting to this waterfall, because that means when I get there, I can hopefully just wait for the clouds to pass a little bit, create some nice light on the waterfall. So I'm gonna get there and see what we can find.
Of a stranger dreaming of a geranium, put my hands above, you were made to love. Called you to say, coming back from home, gave you the night, opened up my door. Walking the line, standing at the wall. I know I'll be alright. I know I'll be alright.
All right, so I've stepped away from the giant waterfall so that I don't have to scream into the camera to explain what I was doing. And as you can tell, it has become pretty overcast consistently, and the sun is not coming out like it was before. What I was doing is just sitting around and waiting for the sun to just peer through a little bit, create a little bit of light on the waterfall, but not too harsh, hopefully. But the reality is I wasn't super in love with my composition. There's a nice leading line with the water going up from the smaller falls in the foreground to the bigger fall in the background, but there's no intricate details. There's not any color catching my eye with like some of the other shots we've taken with all that green moss on the rocks. A lot of the rocks are just black and dull, and there's just nothing really leading my eye and catching it aside from that nice leading line of the waterfall. It just doesn't feel very unique, and I feel like it's missing that element that really brings someone into the shot. Now, I was shooting with a polarizer and a 3-stop ND, which if you're interested in those, I'll have them linked down below. I did a video on my initial thoughts on them here, and I'll be doing a full review on them eventually, now that I'm actually able to use them more often. Like I've said before, you cannot shoot waterfalls without a polarizer. I think the polarizer is probably the most important accessory as a landscape photographer, and it is an absolute must-have to shoot waterfalls. Literally, it's just none of the shots you're gonna get without it usually ever work, so you have to have one of those. But the 3-stop ND also made it where my shutter was about half a second, which was decent for the speed of this water. And that's the shot. That's the technical aspects. F16, focusing somewhere on the middle ground so that I don't have to focus stack. It should give me enough focus in the foreground and enough focus of that waterfall in the background. And that's the shot. Like I said, not totally in love with it, but I'll show it to you anyways, regardless. Hope you enjoy. We're gonna get back on the road and see what else we can get up to today, or just end up talking about revenue on life on the road, YouTube, photography, and all that stuff. Thanks for watching. As I was getting ready to leave, this tree really caught my eye here. That one. I'm gonna walk away so you can hear me without me having to yell. And the reason it caught my eye is because it's dead center on this giant rock. It's the only tree on the rock. It's got all this moss coming off of it. And that moss has got all these roots on the rock, and it lines up really well with parts of the waterfall. I've never shot anything like this, but basically my composition is the tree just dead in the middle with those mossy textures and the waterfall in the background. Still using the 3-stop ND, trying to shoot F16 to get as much as the waterfall in focus enough for one shot, and also just waiting for the light to peer through, which has been few and far between. It's been pretty gray and overcast. But got nothing else going on. I really, really like this shot, but it's one of those shots where in the field I'm like, oh, this seems super cool. But I could get on the computer and be like, it just didn't turn out how I expected it. I'll show you the shot that I like the most anyways. I would love to know what you think about this somewhat interesting composition when there's this giant waterfall here, and what your thoughts are. Hey, pardon the interruption. I just want to say thank you for all the support. And if you wanted to help support me in more ways than just liking and subscribing to this channel, you can do that with a little link down below where you can find things like my Patreon. Patreon is a really great way to help support me living on the road full-time and making content like this. You can get credit at the end of every video for helping support me. You can get access to raw edits that I do from time to time. You can even get a postcard from me once a month. So check that out down below. You can also check out my Lightroom editing companion. Maybe you're a photographer and you want a more linear workflow directly built into Lightroom. You can also find that in the link. You can find things like my workshops, you can find things like prints, or anything in between. All of it helps, and if you can't do any of that, just sharing this video with someone in your family or a loved one that might be interested in travel or anything of that nature. Let's get back to the video. There's Ross, looking just fine. Everything's okay.
Staring in the silent cold. Are you frozen? Are you broken? The valley.
Look at that. It's been a while since we've seen a rainbow.
Are you floating? Were you hoping?
right, so it's clearly not the same day. I tried to film this the end of that day, but it started to rain and it was extremely windy, so I couldn't sit anywhere besides inside my car. I really wanted to do this outside in a more quiet, personal area, just because, I don't know, I feel like this connection to you, the audience, makes a difference, especially when I'm talking about things that deal with money or monetization of this channel. So without further ado, let's just dive in, and I'm going to just break down basically every source of revenue that I had throughout the year. So the first one is going to be, hello, can you not sting me? Don't, go away. So the first one is going to be a review that I paid to do by 𝐒𝐸. This was at the beginning of the year. You can check out the video here. And I was really hesitant to do a paid review. I think just doing reviews in general, you can be pretty biased when you're given stuff. So like, let's say that Canon decided to make me an ambassador and then I would review their cameras on my channel. Even though I'm not being paid to do those reviews and they're giving me cameras to review and I'm sending them back, I still want to create a healthy relationship with that company because they're giving me things that create content for my channel. So even if I'm being given stuff without being asked to do anything, and even if I'm sending it back, like I'm not keeping the product, I'm not actually earning any incentive, there's still this little bit of bias no matter what you do for a review, because you want to earn a good relationship with a company that's giving you things to review. Now, when you're being paid to do a review, it's even worse. But in this case, I was going to try it out. I'll be completely honest. At the beginning of the year, even now, I'm still trying to figure out different ways to monetize my channel to keep doing it. So even though I sacrificed things that I told myself I would never do, I gave it one shot. I told myself I would do it once, and the stipulation that I included in this was that I just get to say whatever I want about the product. They don't get to review it, and I'm going to be completely honest and transparent. And I was. And thankfully, morally, I still feel okay about it because I was completely honest in the review, regardless of them paying me. Now, the stipulation there is they almost didn't, I wouldn't say they almost didn't pay me, but they definitely fought back and wanted me to change things about the video, and I told them no. So I kind of had to fight them on getting me the money that they offered to pay me to do the review, and since that experience, I will never do another paid review. I don't want any ill will between a company because they're never going to work with me again because of that, and the reality is I just don't think it doesn't really tell anybody anything. I think the best way to do reviews, the most pure way, is that when you do a review of a product, you paid for it yourself. So that's my little insight into there. They paid me $400 to do that review, or that's about how much I made from the review at the end of all of it. And yeah, food for thought in that. So next up is affiliate links. Now this is things like Amazon affiliates or some software that I might have linked down below. I didn't make a ton from Amazon. I believe it was roughly like 200 bucks. And I think the majority of the money that I got was from On1, an affiliate link through that. The reality is I don't really promote these links. A lot of people put a lot of effort into having everything linked and being like, I'm going to do a review of a product. You should check it out down below. Sometimes I do that with products that naturally end up in my lap, like some of the filters that I have. But the reality is I just don't push it that much, and I don't make that much from it because of that. Next up is F-Stoppers articles. I made about $4,000 from F-Stoppers articles. This is usually about 2 to 3 times a month. I write an article on there. It helps promote my channel, but also they do give me payment for some of the articles. A lot of those are based off of just how many views the article gets and how type of article that it is. But that's about how much I made from F-Stoppers articles. Next up is YouTube. YouTube, I made $3,000 from ads roughly throughout the entire year. So let that sink in for a second that I made $3,000. I made 110 videos totaling over 1,500 minutes of content, and I only made $3,000 from ads. Now, my channel's not very big. I don't have that many average views per video, but that should give you a little bit of a reality of you really have to monetize in other ways besides just hoping for views on your channel. Speaking of, I made 1.6K from YouTube donations or memberships. This was before I introduced a Patreon for the most part of the year. People could become members on YouTube, and I made money that way. But I also got donations, especially when I was in Alaska, through YouTube before I really incentivized, hey, use the donation link because YouTube takes 30%. Next up is donations. I made about $4,000 from donations, and this does not include the YouTube donations. This is just donations through PayPal or Venmo, and that honestly is absolutely amazing. I really couldn't have done it without you. A lot of those donations came from when I was in Alaska. One person donated $1,200, which still to this day blows me away. And if you're still watching, anybody that donated, thank you for the support. You can tell how big of a percentage that is to the total amount I've made throughout all of 2022. I mean, I got $4,000 in donations through PayPal. Actually, if we include YouTube donations, I made 5.6K compared to the 3K that I made from ad revenue. So it really does make a difference. Okay, so the next one is very misleading. I made about $2,000 from Reels on Instagram. You can check out the video here about how I broke it down. But the reality is I made $1,200 off of 1 month. The first month they offered me money for it. One of the Reels did really well and it hit the goal. And then the next month they moved the goalpost to 10x the amount of views needed. And I really stopped putting effort in. I just did the minimal, basically making about $100 a month from that, which is nice. It's an added form of revenue, but I was never trying to hit the $1,000 thing again, because I don't like chasing a carrot that moves. That doesn't feel good from a creative perspective, and I wasn't really happy making Reels. I just happened to get lucky that very first month. The next one is Patreon. I didn't start the Patreon until the tail end of the year, so I only got 3 payouts from that, and that was roughly $900. So thank you if you're a patron. Link down below if you want to check that out. The workshop that I ran in Colorado, which I did a video recapping it here, I made about $2,000 from that workshop. Next up is prints. I sold a total of 5 prints, which I've talked about more on this channel a little bit, but I just think prints are kind of outdated for support in landscape photography world. I think a lot of the times people want books or things that they get more value out of rather than just a print. You have to have space on your wall. It has to be the right spot. But I sold 5 prints. I made roughly $500 from those prints. And I've realized that all the effort that I put into having like a print store on my website just isn't worth the time and effort. So realistically, if someone wants a print, they'll reach out, and I always incentivize, hey, if you want a photo on your wall, just talk to me and we can make it happen. So I've stopped putting effort into updating my print shop for that reason, and I have a feeling that that might be a lot of the reasons other people stop doing it, because prints just don't sell that well. All right, so next up is digital downloads. This includes things like my Lightroom calibration add-on, which is only like $5. There's wallpaper packs for your phone, but the majority of this comes from my Lightroom editing companion. You can check out the video here for any breakdown for that. And I made about $4,500 total from all digital downloads. Again, that was released at the end of the year, the editing companion, and it did really well. It hasn't sold very much now, but right when I released it, I think I had average viewers that were interested in learning the ways that I do photography or edit photography, and they bought it when they saw it. So that gives you an idea of how much that made. And last but not least is calendars. I want to say I probably sold 30 to 40 calendars of both years last year, both 2022 and 2023, and I made about $1,000 from those calendars. Those are usually worth it because I like them. I like putting the effort into them, and it's nice that my friends can buy them. They're super affordable in terms of you get a decent amount of photos for the price, and it's something just fun for me to do every year. I get to recap and put some of the images throughout the year on it. So I don't need to make a ton from that. I would like to make more, obviously, but I think realistically I need to get the price down. But because I live on the road, I have to go through a drop shipping service, meaning when someone orders it, they print it and deliver it to them. I don't have a bunch here to ship off to someone, which would really get my numbers down instead of having to spend, I think I spend almost $25 per calendar before I ever make any money. It would mean I would only spend like $8 per calendar, and then I would ship it out to people. I would love to charge less, but the reality is I don't have that privilege or ability because I live on the road. So that's the breakdown of all my YouTube ad revenue, even though most of it, as you can tell, doesn't come from YouTube. But again, you have to use your audience. You have to leverage that audience to make a lot of the money that you're going to make through other means. So I hope that answers some questions, and that's going to end this video here. As always, you can like the video if you liked it. Consider subscribing if you loved it. It's got to be some rainbows out there somewhere. It's an absolutely gorgeous day here, but there is no current precipitation. Actually, I think we captured a rainbow in this video. So there's definitely rainbows out there. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Later.
Hanging on the gallows, staring